Hey, all, my name is Bryant Young.
And Derek Chaney.
Here with the Decent Dads podcast. We got done with a really fun episode, and we're excited to share this one with y'all.
We are. We had, again, another good buddy of ours, Paden Wilcox. Kind of a unique-ish dad situation there. You know, dad of twins.
Yeah. Our first twin dad, and also, again, one of our very close friends and a funny dude to boot. So,
great guy, tells great stories.
Very much so, and he brought his iced coffee in, so it's a hell of an episode. Hope everybody enjoys it. So, without further ado, Decent Dads podcast.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Good evening, folks, and welcome back to the Decent Dads podcast. We're here to tell dad jokes, drink coffee, and build a community of dads navigating fatherhood together. I'm Bryant Young, fearless leader, co-host, girl dad, and your friendly local insurance agent based out of Springfield, Missouri. And now, before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome, he's a 6'3" sophomore shooting guard from small town Missouri. He wishes he was a first-team All-American, but instead, he's the coolest co-host with the most, a fantastic father of two, and the home loan expert. Folks, put your hands together and welcome the incomparable Mr. Derek Chaney. How are you, Derek?
Doing great, man.
The crowd goes wild.
Stop it.
No, that's like weird. Please stop. Don't do that anymore. It makes me uncomfortable.
I'm gonna have to leave right now. No, man, doing good. It's a good day for good day, boys.
It's a good day.
Got me and you have our hoppy coffees, and
some of us brought our iced coffees.
And one of our good buddies over here,
Bougie,
brought his bougie iced coffee with him.
So fancy.
All right.
Listen to him clink around in there.
But no, excited for another episode. Got obviously, if you can't tell already, one of our good buddies.
Oh yeah.
On here, Paden Wilcox. Paden was or is in that core friend group of ours.
Oh yeah.
All kind of had kids around the same time.
He was kind of on our original list of like, there's a couple of people that we need to have on the show, and Paden was one of them. Just because one, it's Paden, and I know how you tell stories, and two, you would be our first twin dad.
Yeah,
and so we were excited to pick your brain on all the yahoos that are those two twins.
And I made the long trek 6 houses over.
Yeah, that's true, because we live.
Out.
Peyton and I live very far apart. It's like 100
No matter
feet.
how jittery I am from the coffee, I'm going to drive home.
In this frigid weather.
I'm kidding.
His bicycle's actually parked in my front yard, so it's perfect.
But needless to say, we know Paden pretty well. But some of our listeners might not know you, Paden. So if you will, tell us who you are, what you do, give us your dad resume, tell us how many kids you got, who's your favorite, and just go from there.
So Paden, 34. I'm a real estate professional, father of two.
That sounds way more important than
doesn't
real estate
it?
agent.
Sounds very professional.
Real estate professional.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a very good real estate agent, so I say professional. That doesn't sound better. But father to two, 15-month-olds. So they came at the same time. It's Porter and Sutton. 15-month-old twins, a boy and a girl. Super blessed to end up with. You don't. It's kind of it's a good first at bat as a boy-girl twin. Kind of just diving off the deep end there. But it's been 15 months old, and man, it's been a blast. I love every second of it. It's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. The most fulfilling job I've ever had, and it's a blast. I'm super excited to talk to you guys about it today.
Yeah, we're excited to have you, pal.
Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, because again, just because you are one of my very close friends, I know you are just full of stories, and so we fully expect to just mine you for all of your funny stuff and then send you back across the yard to go back to your house.
Okay.
So, as always, we start the episode out with Tantrum of the Week. You've got double duty because you've got two, so I don't want to put you on the spot, so I'll make him go first.
Okay.
But, what do you got there, big boy? How about that misdirection?
I wasn't ready.
Just kidding.
No, actually, I thought I had a good tantrum, but then on the way over here, Allie, she reminded me that
it wasn't a good tantrum, or
she's like, don't use that one. Think of a different. So,
maybe let's not talk about that.
It was that good. So, but this one, we've been kind of dealing with this one on and off for a few weeks now, and really, it seems like it happens like any day that it's sunny. Okay. So we hop in my truck. Liam's in the back seat, obviously, in his car seat, and his car seat's right next to the door, right next to the window. And he's like, I'm hot. I'm like, okay, well, it's like 40 degrees outside. Like,
what do you want me to do?
And he's like, I'm hot. I'm like, okay, well, we'll turn down the heat, you know. It's like, no, my eyeballs are hot, Dad. And I'm like, what?
What exactly are hot eyeballs, son?
Well, then I look back, and he's like, has his eyes all closed, and he's like trying to cover them up. The sun is in his eyes, and it's bright.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's one way to describe it.
Eyeballs,
yeah.
Until we really understood what he was saying, he would just get mad and upset and lose it. He's like, fix it. My eyeballs are hot. And so we try to give him sunglasses.
Not going to do it.
Not interested.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we just basically tell him to suck it up now and look away from the sun.
Do you guys have the little shade things in your passenger windows?
Yeah, I guess we should probably be good parents and do that, but we don't.
We tried that in our car and it didn't work.
Well, that's what I think he would like rip it off the window, so I don't even think it would work.
Yeah, and else can't really reach that far, but I would assume that Liam could probably get to something.
Yeah,
like
he does,
that.
and he loves the windows being rolled down.
Nice.
And so those
he has brown eyes, right?
Man after my own heart.
Yeah, he has brown eyes, but sensitive, evidently.
Yeah, no, like my little dude has blue eyes, and sister has no problem with the sun. He's absolutely can't handle it.
He already rocks sunglasses, doesn't he?
He wants sunglasses on.
Yeah,
prefers them on. I just was curious.
At 15 months old.
I've never had. I mean, that's just something that's very he got his eyes dilated for the first time the other day, and they're like, oh, because he has blue eyes, it'll be 7 to 8 hours he can't see. I'm like,
he can't see.
Yeah, he's
grief.
farther than
Right.
Well, they let me drive away when they dilate my eyes. Is that because
must have good insurance?
That strong or something? Must have had good insurance. Whatever. That's hilarious. Well, I mean, leave it to your kids to be cool enough to already be wearing sunglasses.
Right. I'm bringing Liam over to
wonders never freaking cease. So.
Teach him that.
What about your tantrum? What'd you have this week?
The story I was going to tell was about a duck in the counter, which was a good one. But I was just thinking this is probably the better one. It's wasn't this week, but it's an all-time epic one.
Well, we don't have to tell the people that they don't know any better.
Right. So this happened this week. So
Tonight.
Just yesterday actually.
Boy, girl, they're. It's an interesting just of them starting to fight and wrestle and kind of figure that out and figuring each other their own bodies out, and let alone how that works with someone else.
Sure.
So the other day the kids were playing in the counter or the cabinet I was cooking and playing with pans, and Sutton, the little girl, had reached in to grab a pan. Porter was there first, and he grabbed her hand and was squeezing it, and I was started to separate him. I was I'm just gonna see how it plays out.
Sure.
And
let it go.
Up until this point, the fight's been pretty mild. But so she gets her hand loose and she rears back and just cocks him across the head. Drops him.
Closed fist?
Closed fist. And just on his head. And I was like, okay, well, it's kind of that's what you get. So he drops to the ground, fetal position, crying, and she mounts him and continues to punch.
Wow.
So it's one of those things that I'm
that's probably when we need to separate everybody.
Right. I'm okay, let's stop.
I guess I'll come in now.
But it's it's wild. It was it just went from it's sibling rage. There'd never been any of that. I get it. I have a brother. It's part of it.
Right.
But there'd never been anything like that. It was very mild, but it escalated very quickly.
Oh, certainly.
It was hilarious.
And I also love that it's Suddy beating up on Porter.
Right.
That's my
100%.
favorite thing.
She's small compared to him. And she's like I said, the initial hit was one thing, but to continue to double down on it,
right?
You can just hear Joe Rogan in the background calling the fight, she's got full mount.
Right?
It's oh my god, it's a real deal now.
So tantrum of the week. Porter will definitely remember that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's
the good thing is you probably don't have to worry about boys when she gets older.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean,
she'll hold her own.
Yeah, her brother's going to be massive, and I think if they get through him,
there you go.
Yeah, that's true.
It's going to be well,
it's going to be those
she's
two.
tougher than me. So
she's tougher than me. Exactly. I might be 7 foot tall, but man, she will.
Listen, she's
she
five.
Will whoop your ass.
She's 5'0", and she'll beat your ass.
Yeah, no, she's definitely. She's her mother.
I love
she's her mother.
That's so good. I love it. Well, and we were. That's funny. So ours this week. I've talked about Elsie being kind of particular about clothing in the past, but it was really only with one outfit. We tried to put a Christmas dress on her. It had kind of a high neck. She hated it, so she wouldn't wear that to school. Well, this week she has rejected 3 different outfits.
Oh,
and so I think we have now officially at almost 19 months old or year and a half, whatever. She has officially started wanting to wear the very specific clothes. this week is like Spirit Week at daycare, and so it was like Ugly Sweater Day and Funny Socks Day and all that. And so today was Ugly Sweater Day, and Elsie just flat out refused. We've got this really fun, cute, like penguins in Santa hats kind of shirt, kind of like ugly sweater, and it's actually a sweater. It's super comfortable. Refused.
Nope.
So instead, she wore her favorite like oversized Wu-Tang t-shirt and
I like it.
Sure works.
matching sweatsuit. Like she's got a zebra, like black and white zebra print sweatshirt and sweatpants that match with her little Wu-Tang t-shirt under it. Dude, she was styling.
She bring the Target shopping cart too?
No Target shopping cart this time. But yeah, so Else has officially started like wanting to be like pick out what she's wearing, and it's like this guy, she's like 19 months. She's not 19. This is going to be a real problem for me. Like
it always matches so well to what they pick out.
Yeah, good grief.
Or so weather appropriate.
Yeah,
that's our problem.
I'm not looking forward to that because Liv dresses sometimes acts like a middle school boy where she like refuses to wear a jacket because I'm not cold. Yeah. It's like it is 0 degrees outside. Go put a freaking jacket on. I'm convinced that Elsie's going to do the same shit.
Yeah, I know. I'm bad about that myself. I'm wearing chacos right now. It's like 12 degrees outside.
Yeah, I'm with you. I get it.
No, it's funny. I was talking to one of my buddies. It's a dad this week, and he's like, my kids used to do that. And he's like, okay, fine. You want to wear a short sleeve shirt or something? Let's go outside. Let's go play outside for a minute. And it's 20 degrees.
Yeah, well, I will talk you out of this, kids.
He's like, hey, wouldn't a sweater be nice to wear?
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice to be warm again?
Yeah,
wouldn't it be nice to be actually warm and in proper clothing?
Yeah. Really so cool. I guess that was a dad hack that he kind of shared with me, and so I've been contemplating trying it. I haven't yet. But,
just let them out in their t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah, just be like, go for it. Don't you want something a little warmer now?
What's that from Liam Neeson? Good luck.
Good luck. But yeah, that's another question we ask everybody. Paden is good dad hack.
Good segue, partner. Good segue.
Yeah. That's not my dad hack today, by the way. But yeah, instead of directing it at you first, Paden, we'll go with Bryant.
There we go. Now we're talking.
What's a good dad hack you have for us this week?
So I actually didn't have one until dinner this evening, and Liv and I were sitting down and talking over dinner. And I was like, what is one of your favorite things you did with your dad? I was just trying to like poke something and see if I could get a story out of it. And she talked about having some, like, her dad did these funny little things like for Christmas, because Christmas was, this is going to come out in January, and so Christmas was just a few weeks ago. For Christmas all the time, her dad wrote all of the to from stickers on all their Easter and Christmas and everything, and he did funny names. So it wasn't from mom and dad, it was from the Easter Bunny, or Socko the elf, or Undy the elf, or reindeer, Rudolph or whatever. Right. But it was all very obviously Don's handwriting. Like, he wasn't trying to disguise it at all. Right. And even when they got older, he continued to do that, even though they were like in high school. And so it's like those funny little traditions. And I thought, Dad and I did that kind of stuff. We had funny little traditions like that. Yeah. And so I think my dad hack is not really anything overly inventive, but just find and identify and then lean into those fun little hobby, tradition, whatever you want to call them, with your kids. I mean, Dad used to take me on Saturday mornings. We would go to Smitty's breakfast buffet. Do you remember Smitty's on Battlefield?
Smitty's,
yes. They had a breakfast buffet, and we would listen to AC/DC on the way there and AC/DC on the way back. And that was like most Saturdays when I was a kid. And so I have very distinct memories of doing that.
That's awesome.
And one of the first songs that I knew every word to was Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap by AC/DC. My mom was pissed. But yeah, that was not the kind of song she wanted her 4-year-old knowing. But needless to say. But yeah, so I think find some of those fun little traditions to do with your kids and lean into them, because they will mean a lot to your kids later in life, even if they're silly little things like that.
Oh, yeah.
I really like that one.
Yeah, I still get gifts from Santa in my mom's handwriting as a 32-year-old.
I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, what about you, Paden? What's your hack of the week?
I guess I was thinking about this. My thing was that I'm a pretty patient person when it comes to the children. I don't often lose my cool, but I found myself losing my cool when I was distracted by work.
Yeah.
Like if I hadn't shut that off, if I was working a deal late into the evening, or 4 or 5 in the evening, 6 in the evening, we're with the kids, and that's the only time I ever lose my patience, or like I'm just less like not myself when it comes to how I want to be that. So I guess my advice to any dad or new dad is like, try to separate those hats as much as possible. And it's hard. And it's one of those things that you'll never be able to fully take off.
Right.
Because it's just the world we live in. You work,
especially in your line of work, right?
Right.
It's not a 9 to 5
it's crazy
job.
hours. Yeah.
But I try my hardest to shut that off. And it's like, man, I'm with them from 4 to 7 and they go to bed. And it's like, I can, if it's an hour till I call somebody back, it's fine.
Right.
But it's those are the times when, like I said, I've been the least patient. I've lost my cool. And I noticed that about myself. So I just try to just not wear 2 hats at once, because I just don't do it well.
Yeah.
That's something, it's either the dad hat or the work hat. And it's, like I said, sometimes it happens, you have to wear both. But I think it's better if you can just
find a way to differentiate.
And spend that time and not be distracted by it.
Yeah. And nothing's worse than when you are distracted by it and you're not the most patient with your kids. And then afterwards you look back on it and you're like, why did I do that? Or why did I act that way? Like, I mean,
like my temper, like my fuse is this short, and it's like somebody's whining. I'm like, stop it. And I'm like, if normally
it's
that
not
would be
their fault.
Totally fine with me. Like that would be nothing. Like that wouldn't even register with me. But I'm just somewhere else mentally, not in dad mode.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. No, I've been guilty of that as well too. Several times, and you do. I mean, you just kind of have to learn as a dad to reprioritize things. And that's one thing that it was a big change for me too. Is hey, we're shutting off work because, like you said, I mean, our kids right now, they go down for bed 7, 8.
Yeah,
you can still work
Fire
that
off
night.
Emails, get it done.
It can wait. If I don't answer it right now, 2 hours from now, is it going to change anything?
The world is not on fire.
Yeah, no.
Unless it's a negotiation, because I want to pick your brain later about this, because you've talked about it, but like how weird your business is on how late deadlines can be set and all that stuff. But that's neither here nor there. I know that's something that we have joked about before. So, you started to talk about losing your patience and stuff, and I want to dig further into that, because we've talked about like parental mental health. We've kind of coined the phrase parental mental health, and like the importance of nurturing yourself before you nurture the kids, and like worry about taking care of your wife. I know you're a big hobby guy, and I assume that's part of that. How do you kind of differentiate? You talked about trying to separate that stuff out. What are some of the things that you do to like help with your parental mental health? What do you like to do? What kind of take your mind off stuff things do you have?
Yeah, no, that's, if someone knows, a new parent was to come to me, a new father, and ask me like a couple, like that would definitely be high up there. Separate the church and state, try to separate that as much as possible.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
And then the other one would be to like, if you're going into a setting, any setting, whether it be work or your family, and you're not right mentally, you're not performing at your best. And I think it's a balance. And if I fly fish and I try to mountain bike and try to be as active as possible, but fly fishing is really my thing. And it's like there'll be times where it's like my wife's like, just go. Like, just go for a week.
Out of the house.
You need to go fishing. You've not been in a month, and it's like obvious. Like it's like, and it's just like one of those things that goes and it resets me, and I'm better, and I'm better for everyone. So I think it's one of those things that's like, it's just a balance game. It's like you can't put your mental health over everyone else's in your life. You've got a wife at home. You need to make sure she's doing those things too. I think sometimes for guys too, it's easier because the hobbies, like, it's just a more natural thing for me to have to fish and to hunt and to do those things. And it's like my buddies do them, and it's like to where my wife, I'm like, hey, like my wife's in a book club with Bryant's wife and some other women. I'm like, I double down on that. I'm like, because it's just she just doesn't have the hobbies.
That's her hobby. Sure. Yep.
Right. And I'm like, go do those things. Like, so, but yeah, I think that my advice to someone is like, you just have to like fix yourself, like make sure you're right and make sure that you're like, it's easy to focus on the kids, and as you should, but it's like the oxygen mask on a plane. Like,
dude, I literally wrote that down.
Like, throw your mask on first. You're doing no good to your children if you're passed out because you didn't put your mask on. You were trying to be a hero. So I just think that it's like find that balance, find that thing, and find that balance with your spouse, and make sure she's getting her time, and make sure you're getting your time. And I think that for me, I'm a much better parent when I'm balanced.
Oh yeah. And I mean, as much as we all love our kids, right? I mean, we all still need a break from them too,
100%.
To recharge.
No doubt.
And that was a while back, I went on a trip, a solo trip. And yeah, whenever I came back, well, first off, you just miss the crap out of your kids when you're away from them, right? And so you're excited to get back to them, see them, play with them. But then too, it's almost like you're recharged, like as a parent. But Allie, she's never really done that before. And then she came to me the other day and she was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing like kind of like this business conference, business building thing, but it's like, it's like 3 days long. I'll be gone for 2 nights.
Go.
I'm like, that's exactly what I said. I was like,
get
do
out of
it. I was like, first off, you just let me leave for like 7 days.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, I'm pretty sure I can handle a weekend.
Yeah. Go.
It might be chaos when you get back, but that's okay. But go,
I will keep them off the chandelier as best I can.
Right. Recharge your batteries, do your thing, have fun. Don't even think about us. We'll be fine. And I don't know, since she's become a parent, if I've seen her be, more excited about something that doesn't involve our kids.
Good.
Awesome. Like she was so pumped. And so seeing her be super pumped about that, it really clicked with me too. I'm like, oh yeah, we got to think of our spouses and make sure they're staying recharged, their pot's staying full, whatever you want to call it there, just for their mental health too.
Yeah, I mean there's the parental plate spinning, right? Like like you've got all these spinning plates and you've got your professional career and you've got your relationship with your wife and you've got your relationship with your friends, and then with you guys it's like with kid number 1 and with kid number 2 and and it's the whole family dynamic, and so you've got all these plates spinning, and at the end of the day, like you said, it's that oxygen mask thought process that if you aren't right, you're not going to be able to do your part keeping those plates spinning.
100%.
Like you mentioned earlier about like being distracted and getting short with the kids. That's something that I have personally struggled with because we spent so much time with Elsie not sleeping, and I was so frustrated and
I'm
just
the same way.
Completely
Lack
up
of
against
sleep,
the wall.
yeah.
Like Liv does really well with way less sleep.
Oh, so does my wife.
Like
I don't know how.
Liv is good, and I know how you are with sleep because you and I share that like not the sleep, but the proclivity to want
not
sleep.
Neighbors.
We're neighbors. Who
not
knows?
That big a deal.
Yeah, the backyard is the fence has a hole in it. It's fine.
How neighbors are you?
Exactly. The fence has a hole in it. Good grief. Sorry, but like. I was getting so frustrated and so like one of those deals. It's like you can't communicate with a 9-month-old to say you should really just go to sleep. It's going to be good for everybody. Oh, yeah. And so, but finding a way to separate myself from the anxiety, separate myself from the sleeplessness, so that I'm not biting my wife's head off or biting my kid's head off. Mm-hmm. Like we're all in jobs where we're public facing. And we're selling stuff, and that takes enough. I mean, I assume it takes as much out of you guys as it does out of me. It takes it takes a toll. It takes a mental toll. And so I was reminded of a refrigerator magnet that lived on my parents' fridge when I was a kid, and I swear to God, I was just thinking about this episode today, and I had that thought. And I don't remember the exact wordage of it, but I think I am I am wired this way because my parents are both wired this way, but it was something to the effect of don't smile hello to strangers all day and then come home to frown. You know what I mean? Like we're spending all day out there glad handing and handshaking and baby kissing, and then you get home.
Save some of that for the family.
Exactly. Right. Save some of that good juju for the wife and kids.
Right. Well, and if you think about it, all of our kids, can walk, right? Or at least one of them. And if you think about it, whenever you get home from work, how excited are your kids to see you?
Right.
Well, to see Liv. Elsie doesn't care about me,
but
okay. Liv. I get what you're saying.
I mean, they are so excited. They run up to you, give you a hug and just want to play. And we need to return that same energy to them and to our spouse too, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Be indifferent there, but yeah, that's something I just saw that same thing. Like I don't know if it was a meme on Facebook or where it was, but yeah, it was like hey, this is how my kid looks at me whenever I come home from work, and this is how you should look at them too.
They're all excited, running at you, and you're just going.
So yeah, I think it's just returning that same energy to them, which it does. I feel like whenever I get home and I see them do that, you do get a little bit of burst of energy, right?
Oh hell yeah!
But then it's like 10 minutes later, you're like,
it'll wear out.
Yeah, right. So it's like just keeping that energy with them, because again,
I'm patient with assholes all day long.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm like, just people that are just like that are in the, like,
and they don't love you.
no,
Your kids do.
or need you or any of those things, and I just pour on the patience. I can just be so.
That is great.
Then it's like, and then you get home and it's like, how can you not do that for them? Like they don't know any better. They're just
right.
They're just there to have you hold them and play with them.
These things at my house are draining all my money out of the way, and the people outside are giving me money. But I'm just kidding. But no, I'm just kidding. But
I would be more patient with my children if they paid me.
Can we figure out a way to make that work? How do we?
Is that like a reverse allowance?
Right.
Can we do that?
I like this. Maybe that's what those childhood tax credits were for. Was to help with our patience. Is to really drive home the patience of the patron saint Chaney. We had Connor on several episodes ago, and he talked about how patient this guy is with. What am I trying to say? Potty training. His little one, and it's like I would have been upside down, like sitting in the front yard rocking by the time as many times as you had taken the little man to the bathroom.
It's worth it though, because he's pretty much potty trained now.
Awesome.
All this one is.
I'm jealous. One less set of diapers in your household.
Right.
Yeah.
God, I can't wait.
Oh no, honestly, the best thing is though about him being potty trained now. So I mean, again, 95% of the time he's good. He doesn't have any accents. And most kids will be like, hey, I gotta go pee, or I gotta go potty, I gotta go something, whenever they need to go.
I believe the word is poop
or poop, whatever.
Thank you.
Each kid uses their own thing. Well, my kid uses a very unique phrase, and I have no idea where he picked this up. But when he has to go potty, this is literally what he says. He goes, "Ooh, my booty hurts." I'm not kidding you.
What?
Yes. So like me and Allie be laying in bed at night.
Where did that come from?
I have no idea. Me and Allie have no idea where he picked this up at. But we'll be laying in bed, or it's even worse when we're out in public and we're like walking around.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Ooh," I don't know why he does the ooh at the beginning of it, but he's like, "Ooh, my booty hurts. Gotta go." So we gotta take him to the potty.
I love it.
It is.
I mean, at least you know.
Oh,
like
right?
it's an indicator.
Like at first you're like,
he
what?
doesn't know word for like pressure or like
Sure.
any of those things.
Yeah.
Hurt is an accurate.
Well, just like my
description.
eyes are hot. Like
Yeah,
he's describing the area and
Right.
a feeling.
That's true. That's
like
true.
it's kind of like
One
my
of my buddies, the little kid, used to always say like anything carbonated he thought was spicy.
Sure.
He's like,
Absolutely.
spicy. He's like, he'd take a Sprite and he'd be like, oh, it's spicy.
Yeah.
And it's like, what else you describe this little kid? It's spicy.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
what
just
it
the word.
is. Like,
Liv-
it hurts. Like, it just is what
But,
it is. It's
Liv calls her waters the sparkling water spicy water, and,
Yeah.
and we're just
yeah.
gonna. Elsie is unfortunately probably gonna say the same thing, but that's because we're coaching her
Right.
to say spicy water.
my kids love sparkling water. Like
yeah.
Pellegrino,
So
like,
so
all
does
of-
Liam.
Like, I mean,
Liam does
he
too.
just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he's
Well,
into it. They're
Else-
about it.
Elsa's trying to get her fingers into like the can and stuff. It's like that's sharp. Let's not get in there. But
Right,
she's
yeah.
what is it about bubbles that are just so exciting to little kids? Whether it's in the tub or it's in your waters or
Right.
whatever. Elsie's into it
They
too.
just love it. They just love it. But yeah. So that's our little poop alarm from Liam.
Ooh, my booty hurts.
Right.
That is awesome.
Peyton, I mentioned earlier that you were in our core friends group that all had kids. About the same time. I think he was kind of on the latter end of that group there, because I know, some of us and some of our friends were very ready to have kids at one point.
Yeah.
And then some other ones, it took a little bit of convincing. And so I think it took Jamie a little bit of convincing, maybe from you and some other friends, right? and
Months of it.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
yeah. So I'm sure once you finally convinced her, that you were probably expecting one child on that little screen at the hospital, but luckily, to your surprise, you had two little ones on that screen at the hospital. So obviously, me or Bryant have no experience with having to deal with that.
No.
So what was your guys' reaction whenever you found out? You're like, oh, there's not just one in here. There's two.
Yeah.
Tell the story from
It
the
was-
hospital.
it
I want to
was-
know the story from
It
the
was
hospital.
very different reactions. My reaction versus my wife's reaction were very different, for lots of different reasons. Now that I've thought about it, but so did you guys both? There's two different hospitals in our town. Were you guys both Mercy?
No.
Yes. I was.
That's Cox. Yep.
So you understand the Cox. So when you go to the
he does.
hospital,
Been there, done that. A hole in the fence in the backyard.
Callback joke.
So it's essentially like when you first go, it's like a room with a big waiting room, and it's kind of messed up process where they take you to finance first.
Oh yeah.
That's first step.
Yeah, they
and
did that at
you walk
Mercy
in
too.
And they're like, well, how are you going to pay for this child? And that's a whole story
know.
on
You
its
tell
own.
me.
And, right, yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know. No idea.
I was like, I have to do that.
they
So
paid for
we do
themselves.
finance, and then you leave, and it's like, I don't know, it's just kind of like a circle room. There's like these rooms around. It's very it's like, this is ultrasound, this is finance, this is the nurse station.
Yep.
And it's like, once you're there, you understand what the stations are. So we will go into the room, and obviously I'd never had a kid before, so I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just lost. This is our first ultrasound appointment. And so we go in, and the girl's doing her thing, and she's talking to us about, it's first baby, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, do you see what I see? And I'm an idiot, and I don't know what I'm talking about or doing. And I'm like, you can tell if it's a boy or a girl already? We're 20 weeks in.
No, buddy.
And
that's
she's like,
not what she's saying.
No, but I can tell there's two of them. And I look over, and Jamie knew immediately. Like, she knew, like, from looking at the picture.
That there's two little blobs instead of just the one.
She looked at the poor girl, and for anyone that knows anyone, this girl is, and I've told D King this girl is D King's twin. A mutual friend of ours, D. Literally, this girl is her twin. So D tells Jamie, she's like, oh my God, you're having twins. And Jamie looks at her, and she's like, I'm not going to say the words that my wife used, but she's like, you're kidding me, right? And she goes, and then she immediately looked at me, and if you know me at all, she was like, he did this. Like, he put you up to this.
It's his
She's like,
fault.
She goes, this is a joke. And she goes, it's not funny.
This is not a funny joke.
And the lady looked at her, like, and she was so sweet and and then she kind of looked at her very seriously, and she goes, ma'am, we don't joke here. And my wife was like, so we move. So they're like, okay, we'll go to the waiting room, and then you'll go see the doctor. So we walk out into the waiting room, and at the time I thought the appropriate thing to say was, this isn't a bad thing. That wasn't the appropriate thing to say. But I looked at her and I said, babe, this isn't a bad thing. And she just broke down and started bawling.
Oh,
and she's like, I need to go outside. And I was like, okay. So I went and talked to the nurse, and I said, hey, can we go outside for a minute? My wife needs some fresh air. And she's like, no, the nurse is about ready to come get you.
Oh gosh.
And I'm like, sorry, babe, we're not going outside. So
the lady in charge said we can't go anywhere. I'm sorry.
So we walked to the first nurse comes in, and it was kind of an emotional state still. And then our Dr. Lamont comes in, and she's like, she looks at Jamie, and she's like, hey, I just think that normally we'd sit down and talk, but she's like, there's going to be plenty of time for that. She's like, I think you just go home for the day. Like, go home and have, just relax. And Jamie's like, okay, yeah, that's right. And so we leave, and we get in the car, and Jamie looks at me, and she's like, I really like our doctor. And I'm like, yeah? She's like, yeah. And she goes, she's like, I just think she knew, like, she could just tell that I was struggling. And she's like, she came into the room, and she's like, she could just looked at me, and she knew. And I was like, or was the 4 nurses you cussed out before she got in the room? They're probably like, hey, listen, you just need to send that girl home. So
it's not going to end well.
We talk about that. I'm like, but yeah, it was wild. We don't have twins on either side of our family.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was never something I've ever even considered.
Sure.
But I never had a moment of there was never panic. And I should have. Honestly, now having twins, I should have panicked at some point in time. I never did.
I should have had way worse.
It was just pure joy from the beginning. I just never saw it as being a bad thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you have to go back to the finance office after you found out
That
you were
was
having
the other
twins?
thing too. And then I thought too, I was like,
I did the math, and the numbers just got way higher.
The thing was, I got to thinking after we left, and I was like, so everyone saw us go to the finance room. We were happy. We were about to have a child. They saw us go into the ultrasound room. They watched us walk out, and I was giddy with joy.
Yeah.
And she was sobbing.
I remember you telling me you came out laughing. You came out of that room laughing, and she was crying.
And I think people were like, what just happened? What was the outcome
you
of that?
You are not the father.
This guy is either this guy is either the biggest asshole on the planet because what is the their alternate reactions? Like, is she sad she just lost the baby? And he's like, woohoo!
Fuck yeah!
Still
Or
got more
vice
time,
versa. It's just I'm sure now in thinking about the process, I watched people every appointment going forward. I watched people walk into that room and walk out, and I was watching their reactions.
Yeah,
sure.
Was this your 30th ultrasound or is this your first?
Yeah. Because
the
you
look
can
on
tell
your face
on
is
your
very
eyes.
different, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's so. Yeah, that's I wanted you to tell that story because that is one of my favorite ones. That it's like you guys. It's like. You put him up to this. Is my favorite line. That just cracks me up.
And just knowing your wife, I just think it's hilarious that you guys ended up with twins because she did take so much convincing to get there.
We were kind of the last of the friend group to have babies, and it was and it's one of those things where we have friends. We all have friends that have struggled to get pregnant, and it's you just don't know until you start trying. You just don't. It's people are like, oh, we take this supplement and do this, and it's you just or months and years of trying, and you just don't know. You just don't know what that process is going to look like for you. And we're 1 month in, and it was done.
Right.
And it was that was why it was such a shocker to me. When we found out we were pregnant, it was I was braced and ready for this process of getting pregnant.
Oh, right.
And we're let's try it.
Isn't it
done?
Yeah. Isn't it funny when you're younger, high school, college, you're afraid if you just look at a girl wrong, she's going to get pregnant.
That's what I was going to say. My misspent youth.
Yeah, then once you're like, oh, you know what? Actually, I do want to have a child. And then you're like, oh, a lot more goes into this than what I thought.
So
it's
if you're 18 or 19 watching this podcast, know that it just can happen the first time. Listen
Yeah.
That's the message here.
That's the takeaway.
There guys oh, it's fine. I'm not even worried about it.
It's the one. It's one and done.
No, but I mean,
who knows?
Sutton, Porter, Elsie, the boys in the future.
A previous guest, Connor, they tried once. They had a kid.
Yeah, it was literally a one and done.
Yeah, so it does happen. So
Well, but for years. Not to admit that I was ever with anybody before my wife, but for years there was a little bit of a question. I was like, well, maybe it doesn't work.
Oh yeah.
Maybe there's something wrong with me and I won't have kids. But then all of a sudden we had kids and it's like, oh no, okay. Yeah. So what is it? What was I think it's
I got to track this and make sure I'm on that day of the month in the afternoon.
Sure.
We're in this position.
22 to 24 or 21 to 23 or some version in there. I definitely was not eating my fruits and veggies, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, sure.
Lots of other things I shouldn't have been eating and doing and drinking and things, and it's I just didn't know.
Had no clue.
It is what it is. It's and like I said, there's other people that are young and that just you would think of never, and they're like, oh, we struggled, but it took us years, and it's just don't know, and it's
exactly,
and the pressure I think you put on yourself, it's just it's very interesting. It's a very interesting.
It's process. A stress thing too, right? The more stress you put on it, the harder it is for mom,
no
obviously
pun intended,
in particular. But but I'm just trying to think of one of those deals where it's almost like you give your buddy a high five. Hey, it works! Congratulations,
right.
It worked. Because we've got a couple of buds from college that were some of my friends. Because I'm kind of like you. We were in the grand scheme of things. Our kids are 4 months apart, but in the grand scheme of things, we were all relatively later than a good portion of our friends. And so some of my college buddies had kids at 21, 22, 23, and I had my daughter at 32.
Right. Yeah.
And so it was quite literally a decade later.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous of those people that had their kids when they were younger.
I don't know, man. I
mean,
it
there's
would
pros
be
and
so
cons,
much
right?
I agree.
Yeah,
it would be so much fun to have a 10-year-old running around the house, but you know what?
You were not
I was an
financially,
idiot at
maturely in the same situation.
I mean, Paden just got done talking about it. Yeah. I mean, my early 20s, I'll say it. I was a
not
dipshit.
prepared.
No, I was a dipshit. In my early 20s, I was a dipshit.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
It's one of those things too. It's I look at my children now and I think I've thought about this and I'm like, I love them so much. I was like, I don't know that wouldn't have stopped some of my dipshittery, but I don't know that. I don't know. I just know that I'm ready now, and it's that's all that matters. And at the end of the day, it's well,
I think that's the point is that everybody's ready at different times.
Yes,
right.
And so you just got to find when you're ready. My friends Nut and Jill from college, they started dating sophomore junior year of college, and have been together ever since. like they're getting ready to celebrate like 15 years or something like that, and we're in our mid 30s.
Right.
Yeah.
Half your life.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that was some good advice I got too. Before I ever got married or had kids or anything, is like, hey, you're on your own timeline. Don't base your timeline on somebody else's timeline, right? So that's definitely some good stuff. And Paden, you can just tell me if I'm completely wrong on this, but me and Allie have talked about this a few times because I think you're probably our only friend that has twins. And we were like, well, you know what? If you're going to have twins, it's best to do it the first time around because then you don't know any better.
100%.
Is that right? Or are you just like, this is a lot?
I think if we'd have had one and then had two, we
been
just
a real
would have
problem.
known.
Yeah.
And it's funny that so in the doctor's office they call people, like when you have twins, people that don't have one's a singleton, and it always sounds
a singleton.
It sounds so pretentious, but like so if you have one, you're a singleton. So they'll like
I've never heard
the
that.
doctors will be like, oh, you're like a singleton parent versus like a twin parent. And I'm like, a singleton.
Singleton.
So
sounds dangerously
you're a
close to
Twingleton.
simpleton, Doc. I don't appreciate
so
that.
singletons out there, they just don't. I think to be a singleton first, right?
A simpleton.
No, I
singleton.
truly, we joke sometimes about like we look at each other sometimes. We'll be like, it would be so much easier with one.
Oh.
But at the end of the day, I don't know the difference. We've only ever had to, and it's just it's just life. It's just I don't know a difference.
Right.
It's just I tell everyone too. I was like, it's twice the money for or twice the kid for twice the money, and it's like, but it's at the same time there's so many advantages to it.
But it's not twice as hard because you and I have talked about this before. I don't think it might be 2x cost.
I've always
used
the analogy. It's 1.5 the suck.
There you go. Yeah.
It's because your hands are already covered in shit from changing a diaper. It's not that big a deal to change one more.
100%.
And it's like, and like I said, I think too, it's like a lot of advantages to like our kids they don't do a lot of tantrums because they're constantly distracted by each other. They have each other. Like I look at like growing up with a twin as like one of the coolest things ever. I'm which was funny because my wife's an only child and she views it as like hell on earth.
Nightmare.
Like she's literally sometimes she'll be like, I think we just need to get the kids away. I think they're like fed up with each other. And I'm like, they don't know any different.
Yeah, they don't know any better. And they never will.
Know anything other than
it'll take them
with
to
each
go
other.
to college and maybe go somewhere else.
She is someone that's very independent and didn't have a sibling. She's like, she can't imagine being with someone 24/7 all day long every day. And I'm like, they don't know any different. And it's like, I think that where it's more work, there's some luxuries like them entertaining themselves, them playing with like constantly having someone. I think that they're both of my kids are fortunately like they're smart kids, and I think that a lot of that is the fact that they have a peer with them. Like one of them watches the other one walk, and they're like, oh, I need to do that.
I want to walk.
Oh, you just scooted down the stairs on your butt. Like that's super efficient. Like that makes sense. So it's like I think that they're kind of like pushing each other a little bit, and that's cool to watch. So.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but that's a great point because we are just now getting to the point with Brody being just over a year that him and Liam are starting to entertain each other. But your kids know no different, and they've always entertained each other. So
they're on each other's same levels. When they're gaga and babies like rolling over, they were doing it together. Yeah. So it's like they were doing it together. And now that they're so cool. Now that they're running around talking and saying things and being shitheads, it's like they're doing it together. Like they're like, and
how much fun is that? Like, God, I love that.
They're in a kissing phase right now. They love to kiss. Like you get home from work and they're like they want to kiss you, like weird open mouth, like it's awful.
Like, but you love it.
Oh, you
Don't
love
lie.
it. Oh, 100%.
It's the best,
dude. It's the best. But they kiss each other now, and it's
really?
like they'll be like, but they like can't like their heads like they just don't like they're like bonking each other's heads and stuff. But it's like the cutest thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
Like stuff like that is like. I don't know. It's just interesting, like having two, like watching them learn from each other and watch each other. Like
and one thing too, I've realized now that Brody's kind of hit that stage is it is so awesome seeing your kids be best friends and building that relationship. Right,
absolutely.
Like it is just because our little guys, they're best buds right now. And they're
cool.
Playing all the time, and like it is just so cool to see them build that relationship as well and strengthen that relationship. So, but again, you guys have known no different, and they've built that relationship since day one.
Yeah.
Right. So that's
awesome.
That's really cool to me, I think.
Well, and is there there's a twin parent and a singleton parent. I know that there's also like a twin parent support group, like a community of twin parents around that. Like when somebody who is a twin parent hears of another twin parent, don't you get those kind of phone? Like you got a bunch of phone calls from different twin parents in town, didn't you?
It's just a unique kind of, it's a bond like that. You just like, it's like you see people in like Walmart or Costco, and you're like, you have twins, and you're just like, what's up?
What's up? So is that like the Jeep Wave?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Jeep Wave.
Like twin badge.
Yeah, exactly.
We were the other day. We were at Costco. This was like 2 weeks ago, and we were at Costco, and there was a family loading their kids and their stuff in the car, and they had like 3-month-old twins. And for anyone that knows, like my wife and our like the first 3 months of our I was so excited about babies. The first 3 months was hell. Like it was awful. Yep. Like it was truly like I was like no connect. It was just a rough 3 months. But everything since then has just been amazing. But so I was like, I told Jamie, I was like, you should roll your window down and tell her it gets better. And I was like joking more than anything. And my wife rolled the window down and goes, hey, it gets better. We've got twins. And the lady looked at her and goes, does it?
Yes, I promise it does, lady. I really do. I promise.
Okay. I promise it does. I promise it does. And
there's light at the end of the tunnel. I promise.
Yeah, I think that's just kids in general, right?
Right. I think everyone you talk to, the first couple months are rough on everyone. There's no sleep, all the things. Then you double it up, and it's like it's just rough. It's just all there is to it.
So that's my biggest fear right now, because me and Allie are having that conversation like, do we go for 3?
Right.
And I just know in the back of my mind we're going to be going for 4.
The twin card could be floating out there.
I do have twins on both sides of my family.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Unfortunately.
So you know that women, and I'm not gonna. Women over 30 are like 20
more
to
likely,
40%
right?
to have twins.
See, that's another thing that's going against us.
And then once you have twins once, your chances of having, so if you're over 30 and you've already had twins, your chances of having twins the second time are more likely than having a single.
I didn't know that existed. Interesting.
Yeah.
So is that why you like immediately went and got snipped?
Right, immediately.
No, man. Yeah, I got twins on both sides and actually a set of triplets on one side.
Do you really?
Yeah. That's how you end up with 2. I mean, that's how
absolutely.
It works.
Yeah. Liv and I mean, I'm sitting here listening to like you guys talk about the siblings, and I had a younger brother, and Drew and I were never super tight, but that's only because my brother had an asshole for a brother. But
fact.
Yeah, truth. Yeah. But like I also hear that, and I am super jealous of what you guys have, like with what your kids have. Excuse me. And Liv and I have decided, and we are happy where we are right now, because I think I heard somebody say the other day, it's like there's the only question about kids that's harder from going from, so if you don't have kids, when are you going to have a kid? Mm-hmm. The only question that gets asked more often is when you have one, when are you going to have your second?
Right.
And so we have pretty much decided that we're very, very happy with our daughter. We're very, very happy with just the one. And it's one of those deals where it's kind of like going back to your peer pressure comment from earlier. It's like, you got to do what works for y'all.
And I hate it when people ask that question. And for whatever reason, older people are the worst about it. Like, once you get married, hey, when are you going to have kids? Mm-hmm. But they don't understand, like Paden was talking about earlier, like, hey, maybe we've been trying, but we can't have it. So you asking this question is not helping the situation.
Makes it that much worse,
right?
Sure.
Or maybe you tried really hard and you're fortunate enough to have one kid, but then now do you want to go through all that again for a second time, right?
Well,
they don't know all that stuff that goes into it, and I hate it when people ask that question, because it's like, you know what? We're not on your timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
My
on
wife
our
and
timeline.
I would have been fine not having kids. We'd kind of embraced it. We'd kind of just been like, listen, and that was, we didn't know, we didn't have a hard feeling one way or the other. And we're like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We're going to be great aunts and uncles to every one of these kids. And, it's one of those things that's like, there's just positive and negatives that go with every bit of it. And it's like, it's like the sibling thing's nice, but it's like, I feel like having two, I feel like I miss out on, you can only watch one kid at a time. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of times where I'm watching my son do something and I'm like, oh my God, he just said duck for the first time.
Right.
And then I turn around and Jamie's like, oh, well, she just did this. I'm like, I missed that.
I missed it. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Fair.
So it's like there's that act. It's like,
it's the same way once you have two kids
right.
too, no matter if they're twins or not. You feel like you're missing out on something with the other one.
All the times. You can't be in two places at once. And it's like, like I said, I think it's one of those things that you just have to figure out what works for your relationship, for your life, and for your kids are going to be fine regardless. Like my wife's an only child. She's great. It's like she has only child tendencies. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's like it's.
But she's a awesome person and a successful business person and like
great mom.
Like all of the above.
Having a sibling doesn't make or break you. Like,
no,
it
definitely doesn't.
It's totally a stigma that I think we've put on. Like, it's just like I think it's one of those things. It's like, oh yeah, you just have a sibling. Like that's what you do. Like get that kid a sibling, but the kid's fine. The kid's just gonna have more time with his parents. I mean, he's gonna have 50% more time with each one of his parents by not having a sibling. I mean, it's like.
Well, and going back to that parental mental health conversation, like Liv had a tough pregnancy. Elsie didn't sleep for like 13 months, and it's like, you know what? Maybe we don't want to dive back into that pool, because as much as we want to say, like, if the first one was hard, the second one's a breeze.
That's not always true.
That's not always the case. There's no guarantee of that. If there was a button to press that would say make this kid easier, we would press it, but there's not.
At the end of the day, you do you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So in the interest of time, I do want to keep this moving. So we're talking about iced coffees earlier, or maybe we're just talking about us being
strong iced coffees.
Dudes in our 20s and 30s. Frankly, we cut our teeth and became friends doing community service and drinking beers. And I happen to know that you have a pretty fun story about the night before the kids got here. Did you get into some cocktails or anything the night before the kids got here? Could you tell me that story, please?
I'm anxious to hear this story, by the way, because I don't know.
Because I know it, but I don't think he does.
So it's funny. I told my wife this story like not that long ago, and she's like, "I had no idea," and I'm so grateful. I was like,
"Good thing you didn't."
You didn't know. I have a pretty awesome wife, and I have a pretty awesome wife. I have a taste for expensive coffee, and I had
well put.
I had a couple bags of coffee downstairs.
Columbia grown.
Yes, I had a couple bags of some vintage Columbia downstairs that I was like waiting for a special chance to try. That maybe the Columbia.
That sounded. Go with the Guatemalan.
Right. Other country.
Anyway, so my babies were born October 4th. October 3rd, my wife had 15 pounds of baby in her. My poor wife. Gosh. And.
Paden's 6'7", if you can't tell on camera, and Jamie's 5'10". These kids were they were kids.
Yeah,
not babies.
They're still big.
Yeah, they're still they're massive kids. They're big ones. Those anyway. So my wife was like, I was like being there and like trying to like take care of her, and she's like, you just got to get out of my life. Like, just leave me alone. Like, I just need time. And I was like, okay. And my buddy Mike had texted me that day. So I actually went fishing the day before my children were born. We went out on the lake on Fellows. We were muskie fishing.
Ballsy.
And I was loading up the car, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna grab one of those coffees from downstairs. And grabbed a coffee. Was very, very mild on the coffee out on the water. Got home at like 5 or 6 o'clock that night. We were being induced the next morning.
Sure.
And
probably nice and early too.
Yeah, at like 5 in the morning.
Yeah, right.
And Jamie, of course, she actually passed out early, like went to bed real early. And I was sleeping on the couch already, like car's loaded. We'd been ready for weeks. And I couldn't sleep. So I was like, I'm going to have a coffee. And one coffee turned to like 5, maybe 6. I don't know. And this was pretty strong coffee, like 140 proof. And I just didn't even...
Barrel strength brew.
Barrel strength coffee. And it was rough the next morning. And I woke up at 5 and we went to the hospital. And I was like... I'd slept for probably 4 hours, maybe, and it was not good sleep because I was like, that like
never is when you've had that much
caffeine.
Coffee.
Yeah, right. And so we get to the hospital, and we're supposed to be like, we honestly didn't know how the baby was being born. Long story short, the lady was like, "You need to go eat something," and I was like, "Could she smell the coffee on my breath?" But I was like, so I went and ate, and the babies were born. It was kind of like it just that whole thing happened, and I just felt it was rough the whole day. I just felt like it was one of those things where it's like, you can just take care of yourself in the real world, but when you're having children, you're not. And my mom's gonna hear this and think about me being hungover the day my children. Anyway, the long story short of this is, what's funny is I have
love you, Kim.
I have 2 or 3 bottles of that same brand of coffee downstairs, and I can't touch it. I can't even smell it. I can't look at it.
Wow.
It's like...
Oh, that's so funny.
It's wild. I think about it.
Well, if you want to send it to my house, of course, we'll take care of it for you. That's fine.
As a parent, nothing is worse than having too many coffees the night before and then having to pair them.
I just couldn't. I was just so anxious, and I was like, you know what? And it was like I'd have one, and I'd watch TV, and I was like, I even went downstairs and walked on the treadmill at one point in time. And I was like,
got a full workout.
I was like, I just couldn't.
I got to do something.
I was Russell Wilson. I was doing high knees on the plane, like trying to figure something out.
Worked out so well for him.
Right, exactly. And it's like, it just was a nightmare. But it was, don't drink too many coffees the night before you have a baby.
Well, but also to your point from just a second ago, somebody needs to invent a way to communicate to your children that, hey, Dad's a little hungover today, so maybe keep the volume down, or like maybe can we leave all the lights off and we just all play in the dark together?
It's funny. I remember when I was in elementary school at lunch, we had this stoplight up on the wall, and whenever the lunchroom got too loud, or got a little loud, it bumped up to yellow. Right? When it got too loud, it bumped up to red. I need to find that stoplight and put it in my living room.
I love that. Yeah.
We'll hey, kids, it's yellow. It's toned down.
Hey, and technology has changed since the 90s when we were in school, so we could probably get like an LED light or something and actually make that.
I mean, I like the vintage stoplight.
There you go. Now you're talking.
You guys talked on the podcast, I think it was with Andy, you were talking about like the not doing screen time. And same thing. Of course, we were the parents. We're not doing screen time. Not going to happen.
No way.
And then we're like,
and then how many
minutes
weeks?
a day. And it's like, maybe 30. And it's like one of those things. When I'm hungover, screen time rules go out
unlimited.
And we're good about screen time. I'm proud of ourselves. Like we do a good job about it.
Yeah.
But there's a Sunday and like we've had a charity or something event the night before, and I'm like, we're gonna watch a full movie this morning, guys. We're gonna order
maybe
some
two
food and watch a movie. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, Bryant, that was a rough one.
What happened? How did that happen?
I think we might have drank too many iced coffees there.
I think the iced coffee got the better of us.
We're a man down now, for those of you that are like watching us on video.
Yeah, the video folks can see it. Those of you listening, we are sans Paden right now.
Yep, he's down and out.
It's also like 3 weeks later after we recorded that episode.
We had to wait till we fully recovered from all that coffee.
And again, those on the listening side are not going to be able to notice this, but we even like changed our background and updated some of the aesthetics of the studio here.
That's right.
So,
moving on up after 10, 11 episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just going good.
We're in the big leagues now, baby. We've got a neon sign. But yeah, somebody who will remain nameless. Frankly, neither of us really remember which person whose job it was to actually do that.
We'll just blame it on the guy that's not here.
Yes,
no
it
names.
was Paden's fault. Sorry, no names. It was John's fault. Yeah. So, unfortunately, we forgot to press record when we were getting to the dad jokes.
We did.
In Mr. Wilcox's episode. So,
yeah, minor slip. That's okay. We're fixing it now.
Exactly.
But still want to hop into our dad jokes.
Exactly.
Right?
Figured we'd at least finish the episode strong, get a couple of dad jokes in there, and show off our new digs.
Yeah, please don't judge us for this minor mistake. Okay, we're still learning.
Yeah,
still learning here.
Well, what do you got, pal?
Well, it is a new year, so new year, new me, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least my wife thinks so.
Yes.
She
hopes at least.
Yeah. So no, that's her motto, not mine.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
She's been looking at new cars and stuff because I think I mentioned before we're talking about that third kid. So
yep.
She's like, well, I need a new car if we're gonna have a third kid, and I'm like, well, no, you don't, but okay, we'll go for it, right?
No, you really don't.
Well, I guess with you being my insurance agent, I probably should have told you that. Yeah, maybe we was looking at new cars.
That's all right.
And I never really thought she'd be into this, but she was like looking at the Teslas. Right?
Nice.
And I was like,
sweet.
Yeah, right. Those are. I mean, they're pretty cool. I think they're pretty slick. And so she was like, I went and looked at some and looking at them online. It's really cool. Like, really think I want one. But she's like, I want you to look at it first. So I'm like, okay. So we're like looking online, and I'm like, oh, these are cool. And you scroll down and you see the price tag on those puppies, right?
Yeah. It's a couple of zeros.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is that I think I finally figured out why Teslas are so expensive. Though.
Okay. Why are they so expensive?
Well, it's because they charge a lot.
Oh my God. actually really good.
See,
nice work, buddy. That's a good one. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
And
build that one up a little bit.
I actually have already heard that joke when we recorded this the first time, but I had forgotten about it because we were so far into the coffee.
Dang it! And
So,
I felt like I got a better laugh the first time around. But,
there were three of us, and also there was way more iced coffee involved.
What about you?
Well, you were talking about being online. I got an email the other day explaining to me how to read maps backwards. And like, I'm a big Boy Scout, and I was really excited about it. And so I clicked on it. It was spam.
That is so bad. That is so bad.
It's so stupid.
I was going to say, that one sounds really familiar to you.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, yeah, exactly.
Thanks for taking one for the team.
Exactly.
On that one. Okay.
Through the haze of holidays and cold brew. That was a weak ending to this episode. But pardon our progress as we continue to get better at this.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
But anything else we want to talk about? I mean, it's going to come out a little bit later, so we're recording these a couple weeks in advance. But like, we just crossed 250 subscribers on YouTube. We have tons of folks listening on Spotify. The Apple Podcast thing is coming. We've been talking about it for weeks, but we finally think we have it figured out.
Getting a lot of good feedback from people in the community.
Yeah,
I know we were at a networking thing earlier this week.
Yeah, we were.
I think more people came up to me and you and ask us about our podcast and our actual what we do for work.
Absolutely, yeah. Which I don't know if is a good thing or a bad thing.
That's what I told Allie. I was like, I don't know if this is good or bad. But
but at least people are talking about us.
That's right.
But yeah, so shout us out in the DMs if you got ideas for dad hacks. If you'd like to come be on the show, please let us know. We're still having a blast doing this. I mean, I am at least, and I know my partner is too.
Absolutely,
so.
And we got some good guests coming up too.
Yes, we do. We've got several folks in the wings that we're really excited about. So let's wrap this thing up just so I can get back to editing.
Are we recording this time?
And hopefully the red light is on. I don't really know.
Yeah,
but
we should probably just start over. We'll be okay.
2 weeks later. Way to go, decent dad.
Well done, buddy.
Nice work, bro.
See ya.
We'll see you next time. But yeah, so one of like the second biggest knockdown drag out that he and I have ever had is over 2 freaking trash cans in my living room. Because I had 2 trash cans and not one of them.
Man.
And not one
2 trash cans.
And not one of them was a recycling bin. He was mad that one of them was not a recycling bin.
He had 2 trash cans that he had serviced once a week, and he was a.
Yeah.
And then the other one
I have
was
to dump it out in your hand, it'll break in the cup. There you go.
The other one was he saw me kissing a girl at Rockin' Ribs, and he walked up to me and almost hit me in the face, and then he realized it was my girlfriend, Liv.
I remember that. I'd heard that story before.
I was like, "What were you about to do?" He's like, "Don't worry about it. It's fine."
Well, the thing is I thought he was drunk enough to be kissing some random girl. And I was like, well, I can definitely hit him.
Right. Yeah, he definitely deserves that.
At the end of the day, he's not gonna be mad at me. You can't be mad at someone for that.
Because at the end of the day, I'm just getting rearranged. But
yeah, getting in a fight for not having a recycling can.
It's real.
Passionate.
Yeah, Listen, he's a passionate guy.
The more I drink, the more passionate I get.
Yeah, me too. But that's a whole different meaning.